you're interested in consulting, but you're not entirely sure what happens after consulting. In this video, I'm going to share with you the top 5 exit options for consulting, and these are the 5 most common routes that a lot of consultants from McKinsey and BCG have decided to do after they spent 2 to 3 years in consulting. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. The first and the most common exit option for consultants is corporate strategy. And what that means is you're going to join an internal strategy team at a big organization. And you will be focusing on long-term planning and decision-making process without the constant client work, because your client is just your company. And for example, you could be working in strategy roles in tech company like Google and Meta, or head of the finance for Goldman Sachs, or within healthcare companies like Pfizer too. And the typical project that you'll be working on as an internal strategist is you will be, for example, working at market expansion strategy. You'll be helping a major tech company to understand how to enter a new region. And you'll be leading a major project to evaluate the market potential, analyze the competitor, and recommend a go-to-market strategy. And that could include identifying what are the potential partners that you can do and how do you eventually price correctly. And essentially what you're going to be doing is you will be helping your own company, and you're going to have more hands-on experience comparing to just doing the advisory work. How do you transition into corporate strategy from consulting is, first of all, you need to highlight your experience in actually working on the strategic project where you deliver strategic recommendation and research for your clients and also a lot of other leading corporations. And second of all, you need to emphasize your skills and ability to drive high impact outcomes and results in a complicated environment. And you really need to leverage your consulting network, people that you already know, to identify the open position. Often what happens is a lot of bigger companies, they recruit directly into their consulting partners. So the pros is if you work in corporate strategy, you're gonna have much better work-life balance comparing to typical consulting lifestyle. And you have clearer career progression with the potential for senior leadership, because you're going to be senior analyst and then eventually become a manager and a director for a major department. And that will also allow you to develop deep industry expertise because you're going to be spending just in one sector for the next couple of years. But the downside is there's less variety in projects compared to the consulting world. It can be slower pace in decision-making process because usually you're going to be working with bigger companies. The second most common route, if you want to jump out of consulting, is private equity and venture capital, PE and VC. And what you're going to do is you will be focusing on evaluating and acquiring companies if it's PE firm, or funding for startups, which is VC firm, while you're helping startups as well and entrepreneurs to fundraise and grow. So for example, company within the PE space would include Blackstone, KKR, and within VC space, Sequoia Capital is one of the most famous ones. You also have A18Z. And what you can be doing is you will be doing the due diligence work for acquisition, where a PE firm is going to be considering acquiring, a mid-sized logistic company, for example, and you will analyze their financials, assess the market trends, and also identifying the operational risk in order to find out if the company aligns with the investment strategy. And within a VC firm, you'll be evaluating the startup potential, the market size, how good is the technology it's building, if there is a market fit, where is it doing. It's less financially involved, but it's going to be more looking at the founders if you join the VC firm. How people transition into PE and VC is first, they build a solid understanding of financial modeling and then valuation techniques. And that might involve you taking a course and sometimes completing, CFA. And you also need to highlight your consulting experience in M&A space or in due diligence, growth strategy project. And most importantly, what really helps a lot of consultants to jump into PE/VC is they network very intensively and they start early. Because a lot of these PE firms, they have referrals and they're quite exclusive. So they also use headhunter agency to help them to find one of the best associates to join their firm. The pros of joining VC PE firm is you're gonna have much higher earning potential because you have high exposure to high level decision making and financial strategies. And oftentimes they have commission-based incentive as well. But the cool thing is really you're gonna have the opportunity to work closely with entrepreneurs and founders, especially within the VC industry. The challenges though is the hours can be quite demanding. and sometimes can be even higher than consulting. And it would require you to have strong, financial acumen. And it's also pretty steep learning curve for those who don't have any prior experience in the finance side. Third most common kind of exit route for consulting is entrepreneurship or startups. So that means you're going to use your consulting experience to launch your own business or join a fast-paced, hyper-growth startup in a leadership position oftentimes. For example, you could be launching a new product for a tech company, and you can join a tech startup as a CEO, Chief Operation Officer, and lead their development and launch of a new SaaS product. And this can include, setting timeline, collaborating with engineers, and designing a go-to-market strategy to ensure the product meets the customer needs and really achieve the revenue targets. If you want to transition into a tech startup, then you're going to begin by identifying industry and problems that you're very passionate about in solving, because it's all about solving the right problem in the right market. And you also need to leverage your consulting experience to pitch yourself to startups or investors, right, as a strategic thinker and operational problem solver. And once again, you need to build a very strong network of founders, investors, and or accelerators to get your ideas and the position off the ground. The pros of joining a startup or starting your own business is you have very high autonomy. You can control everything. You build something that you're really passionate about. And it is really the opportunity for you to directly implement your strategy ideas into actual product. You're going to see the real impacts and results of your thinking and problem solving. And there's unlimited, uncapped growth potential if you make it. Now, the challenge is it is high risk, right? And there's no guarantee income usually initially. Often startup founders and companies, they give you certain share/equity. It's also a very challenging environment, which means that you sometimes even need to wear multiple hats. And there's constant ups and downs. It's a lot of bumps. It's not as stable as working as a strategy role within a big corporation. Now, similar to number 3, the fourth one is tech or product management. And that means you're going to leverage your problem-solving skills to lead product development or operation at a tech company. Now, this is not a tech startup. It's often a lot bigger than just, simple tech startups. So, for example, this could be, company like, Amazon as a product manager or Meta as operational manager. And what you can be working on in project would include improving user experience. For example, as a product manager at a leading e-commerce company, you are going to oversee the rollout of a new feature to enhance, for example, the checkout speed and also the checkout process. So this would involve gathering user experience, collaborating with UX designer, and also software engineers. And you also need to set KPIs to ensure how to measure the right success and results. If you want to transition into tech project management and product management position, you need to highlight your ability to manage complex projects and your skills of collaborating across multiple teams. And you need to also familiarize yourself with some project management methodologies like Agile and the Scrum Master. Sometimes even means you need to get certain certifications like PMP or a product management course that really help you to get started with the domain knowledge. Again, you need to network with the tech industry, showcase your consulting experience, and use the consulting experience as transferable asset for driving product success. The pros of joining tech company as a product, let's say PM, is you're going to have access to a high growth industry with significant innovation opportunities. It's less risky compared to tech startups. You're going to have a balanced mix of strategy, execution, collaboration. You're going to get exposure to a lot of technologies and very competitive salary and perks, plus sometimes healthcare. So that could include private gym membership, private healthcare, for example. But the downside is you need to learn a lot. You need to get used to technology if you're not already familiar. It could also involve working in ambiguous and also fast-paced environment, much more ambiguous than simply just consulting. And the next most common exit option is nonprofits and social impact positions. Now, that means you are going to transition into purpose-driven environment. You're working organizations that focus on social or environmental changes. So for example, you could be joining an organization like the Gates Foundation or the roles within corporate social responsibility, which stands for CSR. And you can be working on projects like scaling a clean water initiative as a program manager at a nonprofit organization. And you can oversee the expansion of a clean water initiative in rural communities. You're gonna also manage budget, coordinate with the local governments, and measure the program's impacts on health outcomes. And how you can transition into NGO is you need to demonstrate your passion for really the organization, mission, their value, and you can demonstrate that through your volunteering work and the projects you have done in the past that are also in the NGO space. And also you need to again highlight the transferable skills that you have developed, for example, like stakeholder management and strategy planning. The pros of going into the NGO space, you're gonna have a deep sense of fulfillment because the work is going to be truly aligned with your personal value, and it's very beneficial for the communities. And it allows you to utilize your strategy and the leadership skill to drive meaningful impacts for other people. Again, much better work-life balance. The downside though is you're going to have lower earning potential compared to other exit options that I have mentioned before. You also need to adjust to slower organizational process and procedures because NGO, they tend to be less efficient compared to commercial companies. Now, how do you choose which is the right path for you? 3 things, really. First, assess your priorities. Are you focused on work-life balance? Are you focused on compensation? What about your passion and also your long-term goal? Second, once you are clear, I've mentioned so many times where networking is incredibly important because that's going to open lots of possibilities and many doors for you. And third, focus on the roles that align with the aspect of consulting that you enjoy the most. So for example, at a certain point, if you realize you really enjoy doing the strategic work, you love doing market research, then that's something you should pursue for, and you can see yourself doing that for most of the time, then that means you need to consider going into the corporate strategy as an internal strategist. So these are the top 5 most common exit options for consultants. If you want to learn what are the types of consulting firms that you should be applying to, then check out this video and I'll see you there.